everything is fine. That's the strange part. You have a roof, food, people in your life, a phone full of content, enough to get through the day. Nothing is technically wrong, and yet there is this feeling, arriving most often in quiet moments, after the distraction ends, after the scroll stops, after the show finishes, and the screen goes dark. A hollow feeling. Not sadness exactly, not grief, not loneliness in the way those words usually mean. Just empty. Like something that should be there isn't. Like you're going through the motions of a life without quite inhabiting it. Like you're present in every room you enter, and somehow absent from all of them. And the most disorienting thing about it is that you can't point to a cause. You look at your life, and it checks the reasonable boxes. You look at other people, and they seem to be managing. You tell yourself you have no right to feel this way, which makes it worse, because now you're empty and guilty about being empty, and neither feeling has anywhere useful to go. So you do what most people do. You reach for the phone, you put something on in the background, you stay busy enough that the feeling doesn't have space to fully form. And it works. For a while, until it doesn't. Until the quiet returns, and the emptiness is still there, patient and unchanged, waiting for you to stop moving long enough to feel it. This feeling is more common than most people realize, and its commonness is itself worth examining. In an era of unprecedented material comfort, of entertainment available on demand, of more connection and more content than any previous generation could have imagined, a significant and growing number of people feel fundamentally empty in a way they can't explain. Not depressed in the clinical sense, not suffering in any dramatic, visible way, just hollow, just absent from the inside of their own lives. And the question of why that is, answered clearly, changes something. The standard explanations tend to miss the actual mechanism. People say it's loneliness, or lack of purpose, or too much screen time, or not enough gratitude. All of these things touch the edges of the problem, but the core of it is something more specific and more structural, something that modern life has created almost systematically, without anyone designing it to do so. The emptiness most people feel isn't the absence of good things. It's the presence of a particular kind of life that has been optimized for stimulation and comfort at the direct expense of the experiences that actually generate a felt sense of aliveness. To understand this, you have to understand the difference between pleasure and meaning, between stimulation and engagement, between consuming an experience and actually having one. These pairs feel similar, they can look identical from the outside, but they produce completely different internal states, and they leave completely different traces. Pleasure is immediate, frictionless, and fades quickly. Meaning is slower, often effortful, and lingers. Stimulation activates the surface of your attention without requiring anything from you. Genuine engagement pulls you in, demands your presence, gives you something to push against. Consuming an experience, watching, scrolling, passively receiving, leaves you approximately where you started. Actually having an experience changes you in some small but real way. Modern life has become extraordinarily efficient at delivering the first of each pair, and extraordinarily bad at supporting the second. The infrastructure of daily life now offers almost unlimited pleasure, stimulation, and passive consumption, with minimal friction, minimal effort, minimal requirement, and it offers progressively less of the conditions under which meaning, genuine engagement, and real experience naturally form. This isn't an accident, it's an optimization. Systems built to capture attention and generate revenue are optimized for immediate satisfaction, for the kind of experience that feels good enough to keep you engaged, but doesn't require so much from you that you disengage. They're designed to fill the space where boredom would otherwise live. And boredom, it turns out, is one of the primary conditions under which meaning-making happens. This is where things get strange. The emptiness most people feel is not the result of too little, it's the result of too much of the wrong kind. You are not understimulated. You are overstimulated and undernourished at the same time, like someone who eats constantly but never absorbs nutrients. The hours are full, the feed is full, the calendar has things in it. But the specific experiences that generate genuine satiation, genuine fullness, the felt sense that your life is real and yours and worth inhabiting, those experiences have been gradually crowded out by the volume of available distraction. What generates that felt sense of fullness, when it exists, tends to involve a consistent set of elements that modern life systematically under-delivers. The first is real difficulty, something that requires effort and carries the genuine possibility of failure. Not manufactured challenge, not a puzzle in an app, but something real where the outcome isn't certain and what you put in actually determines what you get. Creating something, building something, learning something that resists easy acquisition, having a difficult conversation honestly rather than managing it from a distance. The brain's reward from genuine difficulty is categorically different from the reward it gets from frictionless pleasure. It's deeper, longer lasting, and carries with it a sense of competence and aliveness that passive consumption simply cannot produce. The second element is genuine presence, being fully inside an experience rather than observing it. This has become genuinely rare, and its rarity is connected directly to the phone habit, specifically the habit of documenting, sharing, or mentally narrating experiences as they happen, rather than simply being in them. When you're thinking about the photo, you're not fully in the moment. The photo is of. When you're constructing the story you'll tell later, you're partially outside the experience you're in, and accumulated across thousands of moments. This habit of being a half step removed from your own life produces exactly the feeling people describe when they say they feel empty. They are always watching their life slightly more than they are living it, and watching is not the same as inhabiting. The third element is connection that costs something. Not the volume of interaction that modern social life provides, messages and replies and likes, and the ambient awareness of other people's activity, but the kind of connection that requires genuine vulnerability, genuine attention, genuine presence from both people. The kind where you say something true and wait to see if it lands. The kind where you're fully in a conversation rather than managing how you're coming across in one. This kind of connection is rarer now, not because people care less, but because the social environment has evolved to make the surface version so available and so much lower risk that the deeper version happens less often. And without it, even people with full social lives can feel profoundly alone, not for lack of contact, but for lack of genuine meeting. And this is why that matters so much in understanding the emptiness. Your nervous system can't be fooled about the difference. It knows the difference between a real conversation and a performance of connection. It knows the difference between genuine effort and the simulation of productivity. It knows the difference between actually being somewhere and scrolling through images of somewhere. And when the ratio of real to simulated experience tips too far in the wrong direction, the system registers the deficit, not loudly, not with a specific signal you can identify and respond to, just with a quiet, persistent, low-frequency sense of something missing. The emptiness is your inner life telling you that what it's being fed isn't what it needs. What most people miss when they try to address this feeling is that the solution isn't addition. It isn't finding a new hobby or adding a morning routine or scheduling more social events. More things in a life that's already full doesn't fill the emptiness if the underlying quality of experience doesn't change. The movement required is not toward more, but toward different, toward experiences that require something from you rather than just offering you something, toward presence rather than observation, toward depth rather than volume. This means, in practice, choosing some things deliberately at the expense of others. It means allowing yourself to be bored sometimes rather than immediately filling the gap, because genuine boredom is the waiting room for genuine engagement. It means finishing things, making things, contributing to things, rather than only consuming them, because completion and contribution are among the most reliable sources of the felt sense of aliveness that emptiness is the absence of. It means having conversations where you say what you actually think, rather than the safe and managed version. Because honesty in connection is one of the few things that makes another person feel real to you and makes you feel real to yourself. It means spending less time in the economy of stimulation and more time in the slower, less glamorous, more effortful territory where meaning actually lives, not dramatically, not with a grand gesture of renunciation, just incrementally, just by noticing which experiences leave you fuller and which leave you emptier, and gradually adjusting your ratio in the direction of the first kind. There is also something important and honest to say about the role of time in this. The emptiness didn't develop overnight. It developed across months or years of a particular kind of daily life. And it doesn't resolve overnight either. The return of genuine fullness, the return of the felt sense that your life is real and inhabited and worth being present for, is a gradual process. It comes in small increments, in moments, in the occasional day that feels more lived than usual, and then in more of those days as the quality of your daily experience shifts. It doesn't arrive as a revelation. It arrives as a slow accumulation of real experiences that leave real traces, the way a life lived from the inside always does. You are not empty because something is wrong with you. You are empty because you have been living in conditions that produce emptiness. And conditions, with enough honest attention and small, consistent changes, can shift. The fullness you're looking for is not somewhere else. It's in the quality of how you move through the life you already have. And that is, finally, something you can actually reach. If this felt familiar, comment empty inside. It helps me know this is something more people are silently dealing with.